Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned to Morning Express. Our next discussion centers on the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protests that rocked Abuja and some southeast states yesterday, crippling businesses, leaving residents lamenting, and several others having to trek distances owing to police presence and heightened security across the nation. Well, in our studio this morning is the AAC Governorship Candidate in Ondo State, Comrade Kunle Wiseman Ajayi. Comrade, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning and thank you so much.
Now, Comrade, the events of yesterday have been reported from different perspectives, before which was the decision of a Federal High Court in Abuja to permit for the protest, however, restricting certain areas from access to the protesters. Yesterday, we saw the protest led by Omoyele Sowore and Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, who was later on arrested, rocking the FCT, while in some certain southeast states, banks, schools, and critical establishments were shut down owing to the activities of yesterday. Let's get your views on this development.
First and foremost, I want to say that there was no court order anywhere because nobody was served.
We're privy to the certified true copies of the judgment.
Yes, but it is an injunction, and there is a specific time that you have to serve the people that you want to talk about. And if you look at such court order, if it exists anywhere, the judge should apologize to Nigerians because it's an infringement on Section 39 and Section 40 of the Constitution, which says that we have the right to peaceful assembly anywhere, any part of Nigeria. There is no part of the Constitution that says that you restrict me to say I can protest only in my house, I can protest only in my kitchen, I can protest only in my toilet and all of that, without saying I can protest. And if you look at the Public Order Act, the Public Order Act is very clear that what matters is for the protesters not to disrupt the peace of society, for the protesters not to go violent, for the protesters not to act in such a way that the social stability of society will be disrupted. And what does it mean? If you look at it yesterday, in a serious analysis of the whole of the protest, we announced the protest for 7 a.m. and we told them that, serve us. We didn't go to Asurok to converge, neither did we go to Unity Fountain, neither did we go to the National Assembly. So if there was a court order at all.
So you're saying if that court order exists, you complied with it?
Let's even say they served us. Let's even say they served us.
Okay.
They didn't serve us, which means that it's null.
So what informed your decision not to go to the places aforementioned?
No, we are organized. We are organized. We understand. We are veterans in the struggle. Some of us led NSAS. This movement itself is the origin of the NSAS movement in Nigeria, the great NSAS movement. We were part of the January uprising. We've been part of 9 general strikes since 1999. The convener of this protest have had 3 decades, over 3 decades in the struggle. So what we did was to converge at Bega. Which part of the court order says we couldn't stay at Bega? Which part of the court order says we couldn't stay at Maitama?
Along the Shehu Shagari.
Yes, which part of the court order says that? Or which court order gives the Nigerian police that drastic, disruptive sense of going to block the whole of the entrances from Maraba, going to tear gas the Supreme Court of Nigeria? In fact, it's an insult on that judge, because that judge needs to apologize to Nigeria that he gave the police an order to go and tear gas the Supreme Court.
Is that what the police is saying? That they received the order from the judge?
That's what they are claiming. And they tear gas the Supreme Court. His own senior judges, the tear gas Supreme Court judges.
Now let's backtrack a bit.
They didn't only do that. They made sure people in Abuja could not move.
Now let's backtrack
Even
a
from
bit.
the airport, they blocked the airport.
So
if there was anybody that disrupted the peace yesterday, if there was anybody that was unruly yesterday, if there was anybody that was unconstitutional yesterday, if there was anybody that did not listen to the same court order that they got yesterday, it is the Nigerian police led by the illegal IGP.
All right, Comrade Kunle, let's backtrack a bit. You had mentioned the NSAS protest. Coincidentally, it's 5 years since that and it coincided with the 20th of October date, which you and your group picked for the conduct of the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu. From the outside looking in, what's the correlation between the hashtag NSAS and the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protests?
Yes, for me, yesterday, many people were saying some influencers were paid influencers were saying that, why did we should have done NSAS anniversary? But what was the best way to remember my comrades who were killed on October 20, 2020? I was the leader of the Alausa barricade in Lagos on October 20, 2020. Twice the soldiers came. You get it? Twice we engaged them. And at the period, especially by 6:30 p.m., you get it, on October 2020, when the soldiers came and we overwhelmed them at Alausa, they were attacking in Lekki. By 8:30 p.m. when they came again, scores were already dead in Lekki. You know, the Lagos State government, the federal government under Buhari, wrote scripts. In fact, they brought a lot of actors.
No, we know the history. We also know the...
No, I'm trying to tell you.
Because of time, we have very limited time, so we can get to some of the key facts here.
I'm trying to tell you that the best way to remember those heroes, to remember those martyrs, is to use that day to demand further for the freedom, the inalienable rights of people. Their freedom is either to education, healthcare, you get it, to assembly, to a lot of other things. And this one we are demanding is a fundamental right to self-determination, which everybody globally has. As far as the section 2 of the Nigerian Constitution is concerned, that says that Nigeria is an indivisible and indissoluble entity, as it is, there is no a part of that constitution that also says that a section of Nigeria does not have a right, you get it, to desire such sovereignty too, especially when they are very collective and they agreed majority. There is a majority agreement that the Biafran people want a right to self-determination. Now
we'll come to their issues, because it's still before the courts. But specifically,
so the connect
yes,
is human rights.
Human rights
is social rights.
Social rights.
Yes. So
now thanks for setting this basis.
Memory for themselves.
Now, Comrade Kunle Wiseman in the studio this morning, we're trying to draw the correlation between the NSAS protest in his perspective and the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, which all coincided on the 20th of October, 5 years after the 2020 protest that the Lekki toll gates are so infamously remembered for. Well, at this point on the program, he set the basis, would also be speaking to some of the visuals coming in from the protest yesterday. But before we do that, we'll take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll follow up with those questions and the visuals as it concerns the protest. Stay with us.
From the pages of history.
Welcome back to the program this morning. Still speaking to the issue of the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest and the ways that rocked Abuja, the southeast states, and part of the reasons to why there's the agitation of protesters on the one side of the Nnamdi Kanu situation, and on the other, pro-Nigerian protesters, as we're seeing yesterday, waving the flag of Nigeria. Still in the studio is Comrade Kunle Wiseman Ajayi. Comrade, I'll come back to you. You talked about the need to demand for the right to peaceful assemblages, human rights, and what have you. But yesterday, we saw a growing trend down in Nigeria, whereby you have protesters hit the streets, and then you also have anti-protesters on the streets as well. What do you make of yesterday's situation? Was it peculiar or any different from the end hunger protests we saw, where that, I believe, began to become a recurring decimal?
Well, it's a historical thing. It's not just the end hunger period. There was a period in this, and I was shocked when you were playing General today. These are not icons of democracy. These are anti-democratic elements. You get it? Who ruled with strong brutality, brute force, embarrassed Nigerians through war, engaged in discipline that was globally condemned as anti-human rights, anti-people. You get it? And insulting generally to Nigerians. And if you look at it, we are not in a military era anymore. You get it? That era is is a condemnable error in our history. And if you look at it yesterday, even from the military period, there was the United Action for Democracy leading protest where you have people like Showore, Wale Balogun, Baba Aye, all our great comrades, Wayland Kefa, Abamidele Aturu, you had Olisa Agbakoba battling for democracy at that period. But there was also Daniel Kanu, who were people being sponsored by Atos, Zeribe, Babacha, and the rest. You get it. I want to tell you very critically that over time, where there had been black, there had been white. Where there had been good, there had been evil. But the question, the contradiction, is simple. People fundamentally came to the public without arms, without anything, demanding for self-determination. Some said they are counter-protesters. The state comes in place. They deployed armories. They deployed not only armories, they deployed a lot of things to attack protesters. They were shooting at us from Berga, everywhere. They went to Akpo. When we were to attack Akpo, they shot at us. Even in front of their own FCT command, where we were just discussing with them peacefully yesterday, they shot at us. They shot directly at one of our comrades, Comrade Mustafa, yesterday with injuries. Get it in his body. They shot tear gas here on his ribs. You get it. But the other protesters, they gave them maximum protection. Maximum protection.
But the call from Showore was that the police should protect both the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest.
So they protected the pro.
You're saying they protected only one side.
Only one side, and they didn't protest us.
Now this notion that
they attacked us, they protected them.
Now this notion that protests are open to be hijacked by unscrupulous elements in society has come to stay in Nigeria. Despite calls from your group asking that the police protect you, how better, in your opinion, do you think security forces can brace up to prevent protests that, in your words, were peaceful from being hijacked?
The first thing is, who is the hijacker? Yesterday, it showed that it is the Nigerian police that were the hijackers. They were protecting those who were pro-government and pro-Tinubu, pro-state. You get it? But for the real protest that had the biggest numbers, that had the biggest massive support, that had the biggest legal support, constitutional support, social support, they attacked it. They hijacked it by coming to shoot at everybody. They went to Jabi Plaza yesterday. People who did not even lock their shop, who were trading normally, they shot into their shops. You get it? People were wounded. AFP reporter, journalists like you, they were beaten. Journalists were beaten. News Central journalists were harassed. Several journalists yesterday were harassed. So you know the hijacker, obviously.
Now, one point I want to raise here, and I would hope that you speak to it directly, is the point of this abuse when people protest on the streets. The spokesperson to the president, Mr. Bayo Nanuga, was condemning the involvement of Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer in the protest, saying that it goes against the tenets of the law for the lawyer to be a part of that protest. I know it's on record that he was arrested as well. Now, there are calls for the release of journalists and such persons like Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer who were all arrested. Is there a legal follow-up on that, and what's the situation as we speak this morning?
First and foremost, let me respond to Bayo Nanuga, because for me, you know, when people join government and they eat from the pot of the Aso Rock, they seem to lose a lot of good sense. And one of it is that Bayo Nanuga has also forgotten that as a journalist, he was reporting one of the best lawyers ever in the history of Nigeria, which is Chief Gani Fahimi, and who was also one of the best protesters. He was locked up severally as a lawyer. So what Bayo Nanuga said yesterday was an absence of some
of the history of his involvement.
Yes, it's also some absence of good sense, as Antonio Gramsci placed it. You get it? So it's such an embarrassing statement.
Now, on the situation report, what's the situation report now?
The situation report is that we have about 20 protesters in prison. They were forcefully detained yesterday, which was illegal. You get it? And they want to arraign them this morning. As I'm speaking now, people are in court at Wuze's magistrate court in Wuze, and lawyers are there to fight for their freedom. And we are calling on the judges not to grant the order to detain them, and they should release them immediately, because they have a right. Section 39 and Section 40 covers the right for peaceful assembly. No one of us heard anything that was injurious to the public yesterday. The only people who disrupted...
Because the information the police is releasing, you're saying 20. The police is saying that they are going to arraign 8 persons arrested. Your figure is 20. They are saying 8.
They keep denying everything. There were 2 people that were arrested at Akpo yesterday. So I can't rely on a lying machine. You get it?
We also manage language because of our MBC rules and what they allow for in terms of our discussion this morning, so we can be as civil as time will permit for us to be. Now, I'm speaking to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is the reason for this protest. Reports also coming in this morning is that he's battling some ailment.
Yes.
And he needs to be more or less treated, which he says treating in custody would not permit him the best of health care. The other notion here is that this process seems to be lingering. The president, who also had a good history with protests, is saying that he's charging the judiciary to expedite and speed up high-profile cases of corruption as well, so that the judiciary and the workings of the law can be seen to be somewhat expedient. What do you make of these 2 situations? On the one hand, his state of health and the case of having had this case linger on for some time.
You know, this is a government of contradictions. This is a government that says A and does B. You get it? If the federal government is interested in expediting such cases, why don't you release Nnamdi Kanu for health reasons? Why don't you release him? And then,
on the other hand, if
and then you continue his trial.
On the other hand,
they have kept him for 4 years. They have kept him for 4 years. They have not been able to find anything. So what expedition do you want again? It's an embarrassment to law itself. You're keeping people, somebody you are not supposed to keep more than 48 hours. You've kept him for 4 years. After 4 years, you are not talking of expediting. They should save us such situations. And then let me tell you this too, is that if you look at the NMA medical report, the Nigerian Medical Association, which is an embarrassing report, a report that showed all the ailments of Nnamdi Kanu, but concluded that he is fit for trial. It's an embarrassing report. That report did not even talk about what is to be done health-wise and all of that for him. So you can't trust doctors within the prison walls or the state walls. So Nnamdi Kanu deserves his freedom, not only for his health, you get it, but for his fundamental human and social rights.
Now, in going forward, you know, we're going to be looking at history, and most times when you look back at history, whether it's bad or good in anyone's perspective, is the lessons to learn from this. Unlike Simon Ekpa, who we're seeing take a different toll, Nnamdi Kanu's own has lingered for quite a while. You said here that concrete evidence has not been found, and hence the reason why it seems to be lingering on. But in setting a precedence for the generations to come on how best to have the judiciary work, what are some of the tenets we feel we can borrow from this current situation so that we save the future of some of these recurrences?
Yes, the first thing is that you cannot put something on nothing. You cannot start illegally and you want to end legally. Nnamdi Kanu was arrested illegally. You get it? And they cannot try him legally. That's what it means. Because
so does this also include a repatriation? What are some of the other...
They should first return him to where they got him in the first place, and then pursue issues legally. There are global constitutional...
Are you saying this is why Simon Ekpa was able to be tried in Finland?
Yes, they followed those processes. Why didn't they do same during the Nnamdi Kanu destiny? It's because of it's the fear of the genuinity. It's the fear of the genuinity. You get it?
So in other precedents, setting the precedents going forward is also on this issue of arraignment and the legal proceedings for trials involving such high-profile cases, particularly one that the Nigerian state views as an attack on itself. What's your response in that regard?
Well, if you look at the Nigerian state generally, making responses to some of what they bring out itself shows a lot of incoherence. You get it? Towards this particular action, there were several announcements, several deniers, you get it, and a lot of other things. So you see that to respond to an incoherent government, what you need to do, you get it, is to be structural, to be more organized, to be more coherent. And we saw that yesterday. There was a classy nature of protests, you get it, moving mass from different angles in about 5 venues, and they were massive. They were not only massive, they moved the people, they joined the people. There was social consciousness, there was social education. So the public was well aware of the day. You get it? So there was nothing fundamentally wrong with the mobilizations, the organizing and the rest. The only thing that was wrong yesterday was the attack by the state, which is condemnable, which I call on all Nigerians to rise against. Because this tendency, if it continues, people destroy the civic space, people attacking the civic space. When we even get to the electoral period, they will do times 10 of such. You get it? And that's why till today, they remove subsidy. Nigerians are very hungry everywhere. People are complaining, but they don't care.
Now, in concluding, we have to speak to the instruments of the law that permit for these rights and ensure that they can be enforced. Currently, there are different opinions on what needs to be done to get a people's constitution. This morning, we're just looking at comments made by the former president of the NBA, Chief Wale Olanipekun, at the 13th convocation ceremony at the Afe Babalola University, where he said that in his opinion, the National Assembly should stay action on amendments to the 1999 Constitution, that we need a new constitution.
On point.
But the National Assembly has made efforts to go about engaging in the civic spaces, calling for town halls, to get inputs into parts of these constitutions. You've mentioned section 39 and 40 now on the freedom to peaceful assemblages. There are other parts of the constitutions, the gray areas that need some rejigging. Do you tilt towards Chief Olanipekun? What do you say is the way forward to get a constitution that reflects the collective will of Nigerians?
I agree pointedly with Olanipekun. The only thing I want to say is that there is nothing good that can come out of a bad situation. You get it? You cannot sow beans and you want to reap rice. You understand? The Nigerian National Assembly in its constitution itself shows a very strong lack of genuinity in terms of understanding of the people's wills and the people's needs for a constitution. So for me, I will not call on the National Assembly to stop rejigging, because that's what they want to do. They prefer painting than real reconstruction and all of that. I want to call on Nigerians themselves to rise and demand for a new constitution generally, because it is needed. You get it? And we need a constitution that is written by us, not the 1999 constitution that was written by the military and handed over to us.
Well, I must thank you, Comrade Kunle Wiseman Ajayi, for taking our time to be on the program this morning, speaking to the issues and matters arising following the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.